Nadine Briggs here from Simply Social Kids. I wanted to talk to you about parenting for compliance. And before I start to talk about parenting strategies, I want to caveat with a couple of things. First of all, the clientele that we work with is sort of a niche of kids. So we work with kids who have mild to moderate social challenges. A lot of those kids have generalized anxiety or social anxiety or some level of anxiety. They might have high functioning autism, ADHD. They just might be just quirky, socially awkward, and there's not really any diagnosis for that. But we don't work with kids who have very significant OCD, kids who have more behavioral issues or more significant challenges than that. So I want to make sure that we're kind of talking to the audience that we are intended to talk to, who our skill set is for. There are a lot of parents who are dealing with more significant issues, and I don't want to make light of those issues in terms of the strategies that we give. The other thing that I wanted to say was during this pandemic, kids are having a harder time than they would be if we weren't in this pandemic. So some of the parenting strategies or struggles, I should say, that you're having, a lot of that is because of the increased anxiety around the pandemic and the lack of engagement that kids are having, either socially or academically, or they're having a hard time with all of this. And it's over time, obviously, it's going to take a toll. So we can just look forward to the end of this thing, that things will get back to normal and it won't be as difficult for them. But for right now, we do have that going on. So that's a very big and significant additional factor. But what I did want to say is we parent mostly the way our parents parented us. And that's all the information that we really have as parents when we birth our children, right? That's our background. And so unless we decide to do something very different, that tends to be the way we go. For people who've had maybe challenging childhoods, you might reject the way that your parents parented because of that and decide to do something different. For the most part, though, parents will parent the way their parents did. So one of the things to kind of keep in mind as you're kind of parenting for compliance and trying to get your kids to follow along with their chores and engaging in things that they need to engage in, that sort of thing, is to ask more questions than tell them things. And a lot of us will just tell them what to do. Please, go take out the garbage, rather than saying, hey, do you think maybe when you're done with your homework, you can get the garbage out to the end of the driveway? You can ask it in more of a, hey, would you mind doing this sort of thing for the family? It tends to get a slightly better reaction. I'm not saying they're necessarily going to jump up right then and there and then take out the garbage. This might be something that they have to get used to too. But anyway, that's something to try, is just to ask that. There's a few other phrases I wanted to share with you that might get you some better compliance than maybe what you're getting in the past. So you can say, no, hey, I'm curious about. And then maybe you can ask them about their social life or how it's been during the pandemic with their friends and socializing more online versus in person, or what's it like when they go to hybrid school. Just think, hey, I'm just kind of curious about what that's like for you. Or, hey, I was wondering, is another kind of opening phrase you can say to somebody. Or what do you think about, or I'd like your opinion on, and maybe ask them about world events and get their thoughts and their feelings around that and have a nice discussion around things that maybe you wouldn't have talked about before. I know in this political climate, a lot of kids are more political than they've ever been before. So that's an opportunity to kind of talk about those particular issues. I like the way you think is not a question, but it's a really deeply affirming statement to say to somebody. I mean, that's really saying something if you like the way someone thinks. So if they have an interesting idea or a way at looking at something that you hadn't previously thought about, that's a nice phrase to say to somebody, and this definitely can help kind of boost their self-esteem. What was it like for you when is another one. What was it like for you when fill in the blank, whatever you're wondering about, just so they can explain it from their perspective. And they might reveal things that you hadn't even known were something that they had struggled with or thought about in that way before. Or how do you feel about is another one, just kind of understanding kind of what they think and how they think. So those are just some phrases that you can use, and we'll definitely have them posted below so you can refer to them later, that might get you better compliance in your parenting of your children. So I hope that works out for you. I hope you like this video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.